The galaxy was a place of endless stars, strange worlds and civilizations that had grown beyond human imagination. Towering cities of shimmering metal floated above planets. Spacecraft raced like shooting stars through nebulae, and alien languages filled the air in harmonies no human could ever truly understand. For centuries, a council of the most advanced species had ruled over these stars. Humans, by contrast, were considered weak and unpredictable. They were admired for their bravery, but never taken seriously in matters of politics or governance. Princess Alara of the planet Vera knew this better than anyone. She had grown up hearing stories of the Council's skepticism. Humans are clever with their hands, her tutor had said, but their minds are too impulsive. They rush into danger without thinking. Her mother and father had ruled Vera wisely, respecting the Council's rules while quietly building their planet's strength. Then one night, a mysterious accident claimed both their lives. Alara, only 17, became the queen. The announcement sent shockwaves through the council. Delegates from distant worlds whispered among themselves, their voices carrying disdain. "A human child," they muttered. "A human ruler? Impossible." Alara had expected this. She had always been clever, quick to learn, and determined not to be underestimated. But she also understood that words alone could not win respect. She had to act, and quickly, or her planet would be swallowed by doubt and political attacks. Her first days on the throne were a blur of meetings, messages, and protocols. She studied the Council's rules, memorized alien customs, and listened carefully to advisors who doubted her every decision. Yet even as she worked, she noticed something others ignored. The Council underestimated human potential. They assumed predictability in their calculations, a straight line from human weakness to failure. Alara decided to turn that underestimation into her greatest advantage. Her first test came sooner than expected. The Council had summoned all leaders to the Grand Forum, a vast hall floating above the planet Aurelian. The ceiling shimmered with holographic stars, and the floor reflected them as if the entire galaxy hung beneath one roof. Leaders from hundreds of worlds gathered, some towering over humans, others shifting their forms like living shadows. They were all powerful, all clever, but none of them had dealt with a human in charge. Alara's entry was quiet. She wore a simple robe, her hair tied neatly, and a calm expression that hid her racing thoughts. Delegates turned, their eyes narrowing. Murmurs rippled through the hall. "She is so young. Does she even know our laws? This is a joke." She stepped onto the platform and took her place at the central podium. Her voice was clear and steady as she addressed the assembly. "I am Queen Alara of Vera. I have come to speak not as a child, but as a ruler who cares for her people. I do not ask for your approval. I ask only for your attention for the sake of reason and fairness." The room fell silent, the tension thick. Then the Council's most vocal critic, Lord Threx of Zorath, rose. He was twice her size and moved with the confidence of centuries. "Human," he boomed, "your species has no place among those who govern the galaxy. Your impulsiveness is your weakness. Tell me, how will you rule over worlds that your kind cannot even understand?" Alara smiled faintly. She had prepared for this moment. "Lord Threx," she replied, "your words are harsh, but they are not new. Many have underestimated humans. Many have assumed that weakness defines us. I ask you to observe, not judge. Let my actions speak before you pass sentence." The forum erupted in murmurs. A few delegates laughed, others exchanged skeptical glances. But the Queen continued, "I do not claim perfection. I claim curiosity, courage, and commitment. I have studied your laws, your customs, and your practices. I understand the challenges that face this council. I intend to prove that reason, creativity, and cooperation can unite us more than fear or prejudice ever could." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Threx sneered, "Prove it, human. Solve the problem of Aurelian's resource crisis. If you fail, your planet falls under our supervision. If you succeed, I may consider that humans have a place here." The Aurelian resource crisis was notorious. A nearby star had begun to collapse, threatening to destabilize the orbits of several inhabited planets. A solution required not just technology but diplomacy, strategic planning, and careful negotiation with multiple alien factions, tasks that even seasoned leaders struggled with. Alara took a deep breath. She could feel her pulse, but she forced herself to remain calm. This was her first real chance to show that humans were more than council gossip. She began by listening. For 2 days, she studied the reports, met with Aurelian scientists, and observed the conflicting claims from neighboring worlds. Delegates tried to corner her with technical jargon and obscure precedents. She took notes, asked simple but pointed questions, and suggested approaches that no one else had considered, combining alien technologies in new ways, using previously overlooked natural resources, and establishing temporary alliances with smaller factions to balance power. Many in the council doubted her ideas, but she persisted. She used human intuition, the ability to see patterns others missed, to improvise when plans failed, and to act with creativity rather than only protocol. Slowly, a few delegates began to listen, curiosity replacing skepticism in their eyes. On the final day, the Queen presented her plan. Using holographic displays, she showed step by step how resources could be safely redistributed, how alliances could prevent conflict, and how the collapsing star's energy could be redirected to stabilize orbits. The calculations were precise, yet the plan allowed for flexibility, a human trait that aliens often overlooked. When she finished, silence hung in the hall. Threx's expression did not change, but his voice was quieter than before. "Interesting, but can it work?" Alara nodded. "It can if we trust in cooperation over suspicion, creativity over rigidity, and courage over fear." The council voted. Slowly, hesitantly, her plan was approved. The delegates had doubts, but they could not deny that she had addressed every challenge with intelligence and determination. Alara smiled inwardly. It was a small victory, but it was enough to plant the seed of doubt about her species' supposed weakness. Back on Vera, her people celebrated quietly, but Alara did not rest. She knew this was only the beginning. The council would test her again, harder, with schemes, sabotage, and politics she had never faced. Yet for the first time, she felt a flicker of hope, not just for herself, but for all humans. They could be more than observers in the galaxy. They could be leaders. Late at night in her private chambers, she studied a star map. The universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but it was also full of opportunity. "They think I am weak," she whispered to herself, "but I will show them that humans are unstoppable when we believe in ourselves." Outside, the twin moons of Vera cast a silver light across the palace walls. Somewhere far beyond the horizon, alien fleets watched, questioning their assumptions. Alara closed her eyes, imagining the path ahead, diplomatic challenges, daring missions, and the chance to prove that human ingenuity could rival even the most advanced civilizations. Tomorrow, she would begin preparing for her next test. But tonight, she allowed herself a quiet triumph. For the first time, she felt the weight of her crown and the power of her species, potential resting comfortably on her shoulders. Humans had been underestimated for too long. It was time to change the story. And somewhere in the cold depths of space, the galaxy began to take notice. The galaxy had begun to notice Queen Alara. Her plan to save Aurelian's planets had succeeded, and whispers of a human ruler's cleverness spread from star system to star system. Yet where admiration began, fear soon followed. Many alien leaders did not like being outsmarted by a human. They had watched her carefully in the council, and now they were plotting. Alara knew this would happen. Her tutors had warned her that the council's favor was fragile, and her advisors reminded her daily that the galaxy could be cruel to those who defied expectations. But the Queen was not afraid. She had survived doubt before, and she had learned that humans thrived where others saw weakness. The first sign of trouble arrived on a quiet morning. A fleet from the planet Zyphar appeared near Vera's borders. Zyphar was a member of the council known for its aggressive tactics, and their ships were advanced, far stronger than Vera's modest fleet. The message was simple: surrender your resources or face destruction. Alara studied the message carefully. The Zypharian admiral, a hulking alien named Krath, assumed she would panic. Most humans might have, but she did not. Instead, she gathered her closest advisors and began planning. They needed a strategy that did not rely on raw power. They did not have enough ships to win a head-on battle. "Attack is too risky," she said, pointing to the star map. "But we can use the stars themselves. Zyphar will not expect it." Her plan was risky, creative, and very human. They would navigate through an asteroid belt that Krath's sensors could not map accurately, using the terrain to hide Vera's fleet. Then, they would strike at Zypharian supply lines instead of their warships directly. It was an unusual approach, but Alara trusted her instincts and her people's skills. The night before the operation, Alara walked among her engineers and pilots. She did not speak like a queen giving orders. She spoke like a teammate, encouraging them, listening to their ideas, and solving problems together. "If we succeed," she told them, "it is because we work together, because we trust each other, and because we think differently from our enemies. Zyphar expects power. They will not see ingenuity coming." When dawn arrived, Vera's fleet slipped quietly into the asteroid belt. The ships moved with precision, guided by Alara's commands and her crew's quick thinking. Zyphar's sensors, unprepared for human unpredictability, missed the fleet entirely. Hours passed like minutes as they navigated the dangerous terrain, dodging massive rocks and gravitational anomalies. Any mistake could destroy them all. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the monitors. Zypharian scouts had spotted a small group of Vera ships. They fired warning shots, signaling the start of a direct conflict. Alara did not panic. "Remember what I taught you," she called over the comms. "Use the terrain, make them follow us where we want them. We fight smart, not hard." Her fleet executed maneuvers no alien commander had expected. They led Zyphar's ships into narrow corridors between asteroids, where the Zypharians, larger vessels, could not maneuver. Using smaller, faster ships, Vera's pilots disabled supply transports and communication satellites. Zyphar's strength became irrelevant in the wrong environment. As the operation continued, Alara coordinated multiple teams simultaneously, relying on human creativity to adjust plans mid-battle. One pilot reported that a transport vessel was trapped behind a collapsing asteroid. Alara directed another team to rescue it using improvised grappling devices, turning a potential disaster into an advantage. By the time Zyphar realized the situation, their fleet was disorganized, their supply lines cut, and their morale weakened. Alara did not seek total destruction. She wanted to show that humans could win without unnecessary bloodshed. She sent a message to Admiral Krath. "We offer peace. Withdraw your forces and no harm will come to your people. We fight only when forced to, but we will defend what is ours." Krath hesitated. Never before had a human commander combined strategy, speed, and mercy in a single operation. Slowly, he ordered his fleet to retreat. Vera had won. The news spread quickly. Across the galaxy, alien worlds took note of the human queen's audacity. Some whispered in admiration, others in fear, but all recognized that humans were not to be underestimated. Alara had done more than defend her planet. She had proved that human ingenuity could rival even the most powerful fleets. Back on Vera, celebrations erupted. Yet Alara remained thoughtful. She knew this was only the beginning. If the Council had doubted her before, they would now be plotting harder than ever. Political attacks, sabotage, and underhanded tactics were inevitable. She needed to prepare her people and herself for the coming storm. One night, as she reviewed intelligence reports, a troubling message arrived. A secret faction within the Council, the Obsidian Syndicate, had begun organizing covert attacks on human settlements across several systems. They believed that if they could weaken humans, they could prevent Alara from consolidating power. Alara's eyes narrowed. "They think we are predictable," she murmured. "They think humans will break under pressure. They are wrong," she called her advisors. "We must protect our people, but we cannot fight blindly. We must anticipate every move, prepare for every scenario, and act faster than our enemies expect. Humans are not only clever, we are adaptable. That is our strength." The next few weeks were a test of leadership, courage, and resourcefulness. Alara coordinated planetary defenses, trained her pilots, and strengthened alliances with smaller alien factions who had quietly admired her intelligence and fairness. She also began sending her own agents to gather information about the Obsidian Syndicate, learning their weaknesses and plans before they could act. Then came the first real attack. A mining colony on the edge of Vera's territory was targeted by Syndicate saboteurs. Explosions rocked the colony, and panic spread among the workers. Alara was already on her way, commanding a squad of elite human engineers and pilots. When she arrived, the situation seemed hopeless. Equipment was destroyed and the saboteurs were skilled, blending in with the environment. But Alara did not panic. She studied the site, observing patterns in the sabotage, and quickly devised a plan. Using improvised drones and repurposed machinery, her team neutralized the saboteurs and stabilized the colony. They worked with precision, saving not just lives but resources vital to Vera's survival. Her people watched in awe. They had always believed in human courage, but they were beginning to understand the Queen's unique vision, that humans could turn chaos into opportunity. Alara did not claim credit. She praised her engineers, pilots, and workers, making it clear that human strength came from unity and creativity, not just individual skill. Word of her success spread like wildfire. Some alien factions, previously hostile, began approaching Vera for alliances. They recognized that humans were unpredictable in the best way, creative, courageous, and capable of seeing solutions others could not. Yet not everyone was impressed. The Obsidian Syndicate began planning a more dangerous strike, one that would test Alara's ability to lead under extreme pressure. They believed that the Queen's youth and humanity would fail when faced with true cunning and deception. But Alara was ready. She had learned to trust her instincts, her people, and her ability to adapt. Late one night, she stood on a balcony overlooking Vera's capital, twin moons casting silver light across the city. She felt the weight of her responsibilities, but also the thrill of possibility. "They think we are weak," she whispered. "They do not understand humans, but we will show them. We always do." For the first time, she felt the truth of her own words. Humans were not the weakest species in the galaxy. They were clever, determined, and resilient. And as she gazed at the stars, she knew that the coming storm would only make her people stronger. The galaxy was watching, and the Queen was ready. Alara's next moves would shape the future of Vera and redefine the role of humans among the stars. The stage was set for challenges greater than she had faced before, but she was ready to meet them, as humans always did, with courage, ingenuity, and unwavering determination. And somewhere far beyond Vera's orbit, the Obsidian Syndicate prepared their attack, unaware that they were about to face the most human challenge of all, a leader who refused to fail. The galaxy was restless. After Vera's fleet outsmarted Zyphar and Alara protected her colonies from the Obsidian Syndicate, whispers spread like wildfire. Some alien worlds watched in admiration, others in fear. But all agreed on one thing: the human queen was not what they had expected. She had survived every challenge thrown at her and had proven humans were clever, resilient, and unpredictable in ways the galaxy had never seen. The Council could no longer ignore her. They called for a final assembly, a judgment that would determine the legitimacy of her rule. Delegates from hundreds of worlds arrived, some shimmering with their natural energy, others shifting forms that no human could hope to mimic. At the heart of the assembly, high above the central city of Aurelion, the grand chamber floated, a cathedral of light and sound, with walls that reflected the cosmos itself. Alara stepped into the chamber, her calm presence contrasting with the tension around her. Every leader had prepared arguments, evidence, and strategies to discredit her. Some openly doubted that a human could ever govern fairly. Others quietly feared her ingenuity, knowing she had outmaneuvered fleets and spies alike. Yet the Queen was ready. She had prepared for this moment not just with knowledge, but with observation, understanding, and patience. She had learned every strength and weakness of the council members, anticipated their arguments, and planned solutions for every accusation they could make. The first to speak was Lord Threx of Zorath, the same delegate who had doubted her months ago. His massive form cast a shadow over the assembly as he boomed, "Human, you have survived luck and coincidence, but can you truly govern worlds that are not your own? Can a human understand alien politics well enough to lead fairly?" Alara's gaze met his. "Lord Threx," she said, her voice steady, "I have learned your laws, your customs, and your histories. I have watched your debates, listened to your reasoning, and studied the needs of countless worlds. Leadership is not about species. It is about understanding, empathy, and courage. Humans may be young as a species, but our potential has no limits." Her words drew murmurs. Some leaders frowned, others whispered to each other. But she did not falter. Next, representatives from the Obsidian Syndicate presented evidence of sabotage and attacks, hoping to paint humans as reckless and dangerous. "Your people caused instability across multiple systems," one said. "How can we trust your judgment?" Alara had anticipated this. She stepped forward, showing holographic records of the attacks and countermeasures. "Yes, sabotage occurred," she admitted. "But it was not caused by humans. It was caused by those who seek to divide us. My people acted swiftly, saving lives, repairing systems, and preventing further harm. Leadership is measured not by mistakes, but by how we respond to them. Humans respond with creativity, courage, and resilience. Some leaders nodded, impressed by her transparency and reason. Others still resisted, unwilling to accept that a human could be more than luck or chance. But Alara did not speak only to the council. She spoke to the galaxy itself, letting her actions and logic shine where doubt had reigned. The debate lasted for hours. Every accusation was met with evidence, every doubt countered with reason. The council began to notice a pattern. Alara did not rely on fear, intimidation, or brute strength. She relied on ingenuity, collaboration, and careful strategy. Humans did not dominate with power, they succeeded with intelligence and creativity. Finally, Threx spoke again. His voice was quieter this time, tinged with reluctant respect. You have survived challenges that many seasoned leaders could not. Yet leadership requires more than cleverness. It requires unity, fairness, and vision. Can you unite the council and the galaxy under your guidance? Alara smiled faintly. She had anticipated this question. Yes, she said. I do not seek to dominate, but to unite. I do not seek to replace your voices, but to coordinate them. The galaxy is stronger when we work together, when we combine the strengths of all species, and when we value understanding over fear. I offer cooperation, not conquest. I offer guidance, not control. Humans can lead because we believe in solutions, not limitations. The chamber fell silent. It was not fear nor awe, but careful consideration. Delegates whispered among themselves, debating not just her words, but the undeniable truth of her accomplishments. She had outmaneuvered fleets, defended colonies, and protected countless lives, all while proving that human ingenuity could match, and sometimes surpass, the most advanced civilizations. After hours of deliberation, the council called for a final vote. Delegates cast their decisions one by one, their voices echoing across the chamber. Some voted reluctantly, others enthusiastically, but when the last vote was counted, the result was clear. Alara had been accepted as a legitimate ruler, the first human ever recognized by the Interstellar Council. The chamber erupted in reactions, some cheering quietly, others bowing with respect, and a few who still doubted nodding in acknowledgement. Alara remained calm, her expression serene, knowing this victory was not for herself alone. It was for every human who had ever been underestimated, doubted, or dismissed. Back on Vera, celebrations began immediately. Citizens poured into the streets, waving banners and singing songs of pride. Children looked up at the stars and imagined their place among them. Engineers, pilots, and scientists smiled, knowing their efforts had contributed to something greater than themselves. Humans were no longer just observers. They were leaders, innovators, and defenders of the galaxy. Yet Alara knew that leadership was not about accolades. It was about responsibility. She returned to her chambers that night, looking at the stars with quiet determination. The council would watch her closely, as would the galaxy. Challenges would come again, harder and more complex. But she had learned that humans thrived under pressure, that creativity and courage could overcome fear, and that unity was more powerful than division. In the days following her official recognition, Alara began reshaping council dynamics. She reached out to leaders who had supported her, creating alliances that balanced power and fostered cooperation. She established communication networks between planets, ensuring that information and resources could flow freely, reducing conflict and increasing trust. Humans, she decided, would not dominate the galaxy. They would guide it wisely, showing that leadership was not about species, but about action, empathy, and ingenuity. One morning, she received a message from Zyphar. Admiral Krath, who had once doubted her, now spoke with respect. Queen Alara, the message read, your strategies have proven remarkable. We wish to discuss alliances, not conflict. Alara smiled. I thought you might, she whispered. Humans do not forget lessons, and we do not underestimate potential, even in those who once doubted us. She sent her reply, carefully balancing diplomacy with honesty. Together, we can ensure peace and prosperity. The galaxy is too vast for petty rivalries. Let us show that cooperation is stronger than fear. Her message marked the beginning of a new era. Humans, once considered weak and impulsive, were now recognized as leaders, problem solvers, and innovators. Other species began to approach them with new respect. eager to learn, collaborate, and explore possibilities that had previously seemed impossible. Ilara continued her work tirelessly, not seeking personal glory, but the betterment of her people and the galaxy. She met challenges daily, negotiated disputes, and inspired countless individuals to contribute their skills and ideas. She showed that humans could adapt, innovate, and lead not through domination, but through understanding and courage. As months passed, her influence grew beyond Vera. Planets that had never interacted with humans before began sharing knowledge, culture, and technology. Ilara encouraged every species to contribute, creating a network of collaboration that strengthened the galaxy against threats and promoted growth. Her vision was not just survival. It was a thriving universe where every species had a voice and every idea had value. And in the quiet moments when she looked up at the stars alone, Ilara reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She remembered the doubts, the skepticism, the whispers that humans could never rule. She remembered the battles, the sabotage, and the tests that had pushed her to her limits. But above all, she remembered the truth she had discovered. Humans were extraordinary because they never gave up, because they believed in possibility, and because they could turn weakness into strength. The galaxy had doubted humanity. It had doubted her. But now, Queen Ilara of Vera stood as proof that courage, ingenuity, and determination could change the course of history. She had not only survived the trials of the Council, but she had redefined what it meant to lead. And far across the stars, in systems that had once mocked or ignored humans, a new respect took root. Whispers became words, words became admiration, and admiration became belief. Humans had arrived, not as conquerors, but as leaders, innovators, and protectors of a galaxy that was finally beginning to see their true potential. Ilara looked at the horizon, the twin moons glowing softly, and felt a quiet pride. She had faced the impossible, turned doubt into respect, and shown the galaxy that leadership was not measured by strength alone, but by vision, courage, and the unyielding human spirit. The story of humanity had only just begun.